Welcome back to Analytical Media. We are a consortium of therapists, well-published authors, and college professors. I have another question to read to you that was submitted to us. It has to do with OCD. All my life, I have had some strange compulsions. I used to make sure my toilet paper was folded perfectly before use. I am very superstitious, and I always have to knock on wood or make sure I apologize to myself over and over if I say something even remotely offensive about someone. I never feel deserving of things, and I always feel bad accepting things from others that are given to me, i.e. free food, money as a gift, a favor, etc. I think the most prominent symptom of my self-diagnosed OCD is that I always want to save my good memories so I don't lose them. I am generally very nostalgic and emotional, which isn't a terrible attribute, but living this way often has negative effects on my life. Sometimes I look back on good memories in hopes that they mask whatever I am going through. Other times I convince myself that I need to save my memories because I want to make sure that I have something good to look back on to share with others around me. I am often concerned that I won't make good memories again, and all of the good memories I have must be protected. I feel that memories must be protected and maintained like fragile objects. I do gymnastics full-time, and I often get upset if I cannot repeat skills the same exact way as I've done in the past. I'm always trying to repeat good memories in hopes that it will make me feel better about myself. Do I sound like a memory hoarder? OCD stands for Obsessive Compulsive Disorder. One is obsessed with thoughts and compelled to do actions. The way she folded her toilet paper perfectly before using it. She was compelled to do that. As some people are compelled to wash their hands. Obsessed, these are thoughts that run through your mind that you can't put away. You think about it, you run through it, you come to the end, and then it starts over again. You worry about it, you think about it, you finish it, you can't think of anything else, nothing else to think about, you're done with it. And then very shortly, sometimes within minutes, sometimes within seconds, it returns. So compelled to do behaviors, obsessed with certain thoughts. Now, she says she's very superstitious and always knocks on wood. And she mentions that this is interfering with her life to some degree. She feels bad accepting things from others. She says sometimes I look back on good memories in hopes that they mask whatever I'm going through. Now, what this shows and what you need to see is that the things she believes in, like knocking on wood and her other superstitious behaviors, these things aren't real. Knocking on wood does nothing. Folding toilet paper a certain way does nothing. The idea that accepting things from others is a bad thing. Her feeling that she never deserves things that are done for her. That's a bad thing. And she apologizes to herself over and over if she says something even remotely offensive about someone. So she's worried quite a bit. And that's the basis of OCD. It's not that these are a series of behaviors or thoughts that people enjoy. It's always a negative experience. Everything is done to protect themselves. You see OCD-like behaviors in people who have not functioned well or fully in many years. And what they do is they maintain certain behaviors, like packing the car the night before a trip, meaning that they are in a panic if they pack the car the morning of the trip, no matter how much time they have, there's nothing practical, realistic about their goals. If they don't pack the car the night before the trip, they feel in danger. If they don't wash clothes on a certain day, let's just say Monday, they feel in danger. They feel nervous. They feel anxious. Now, you should feel nothing about a particular day. You need clean clothing, and you know when you need clean clothing. You know when the washer is available to you. And so you must wash clothes when you can so you don't run out of clean clothing. But that point when you must wash the clothing is not necessarily a Monday or a Saturday afternoon. So when you find people who are inflexible, you are likely looking at someone who is not as healthy as they should be. Because don't forget, once you put these things into effect, these thoughts, these feelings, these behaviors, it's hard to remove them. Now it's a habit. Washing clothes on Monday is a habit. Doing something at 8 o'clock every Saturday morning is a habit. You do this at 8 o'clock. You can't do it at 10 o'clock because you feel something would be horribly wrong with it. And you might even lie to yourself about why that's true. You might lie and say, well, if this and that happens and it's not done by 8 o'clock in the morning, it's got to be started at 8, and I cannot possibly do it at 10. But in your heart, you kind of know you're lying, or they know they are lying. It could be. And really, they are inflexible. People who are really bad, I like to think of as people who are just holding on. In other words, if everything stays the way it is, they have gotten through the last 5 years of their life and been okay. Hasn't been good. They've been worried. They've been anxious. They've been troubled maintaining these inflexible schedules. But they've been okay. They haven't been overwhelmed, which is a constant fear of these people, that they will become overwhelmed and be unable to function. And so they go on at a cost of following some strict schedule. As I said, at a cost. And that schedule is self-imposed. They think it is realistic and it is imposed by the laws of nature or God. It's not of their making. That's what they believe. And so they keep at it. Keep it up. Follow the schedule. Never challenge it. But it comes at a cost. One should not be inflexible. OCD makes one inflexible. Some people, when they leave the home, they go to the car, start it, put it in drive, then put it in park, shut off the engine, go back and check the door to make sure it's locked. It's locked. Then they go back to the car and put it in drive and go a little bit. And then they shut it off and go back and check the door again, because when they were checking the door before to see if it was locked, they might have inadvertently loosened the locking mechanism. And then their habit says they have to do this 5 times before they can force themselves to leave. And it can involve anything. Anything can become a part of this inflexible schedule. Now, if the schedule is realistic, then there's nothing wrong with it. But it must be real. It can't be an imaginary schedule that you put into effect. Some people come home, children and adults, and they reach in their pocket to take out the contents of the pocket. And in the pocket There's some money, some dollar bills, some change, and they take it out of the pocket and put it on the dresser. That's realistic. But some people, they have to fold their money, the paper money. They have to put all the big bills on the bottom in a ascending order, moving up towards, as they move up, they go 20, 10, 5, 1. Or vice versa. It could be 1, 5, 10, 20. And the same thing's true with the change. They put all the big stuff down. They put the quarters, then the nickels, then the dimes, or vice versa. They may put all the quarters together, all the dimes together, all the nickels together, all the pennies together. And why do they do this? Because it doesn't feel right to do it any other way. Just leaving that change there, or putting it in the drawer, or putting the money in a pile and the paper folded neatly somewhere, nothing works. It's got to be this way, the way that works for them. OCD is a bad sign. OCD is a bad sign. You can't be healthy with OCD. OCD will hurt you. To what degree? It depends. You may not be able to leave your home anymore. You may not be able to use the restroom anywhere but at home. And none of it's real. Why? Because you believe something bad's going to happen if you don't follow the script. You cannot have a normal relationship with someone if you have OCD. If you have a touch of OCD, you could. And perhaps at the bottom of all of this is a feeling among these people that they are not good enough. They are functioning at a level that produces a passing grade. They can get by. They can go to school. They can pay their bills. They may be nervous, but they won't have breakdowns. They won't have anxiety-based events, as long as they follow the schedule. And they do follow that schedule. And that can be very difficult. You miss out on a lot in life when you can never do something on Monday because you wash clothes on Monday. And people with OCD never think about the reality of their beliefs. She used the word superstitious in her question. No superstition has ever been proven true. They are, by definition, a false belief. If you spill salt, you do not have to throw it over your shoulder. If you break a mirror, you are not destined to X number of years of bad luck. None of that's true. If a black cat crosses your path, it does not mean that something bad is going to happen to you. Now, it doesn't mean that everyone with OCD is superstitious, or they would share the same superstitions. Like if you spill salt, you throw some behind you over your shoulder. You can't walk under a ladder, or you'll have bad luck. They may believe these things, some of these things, not all of these things. May not believe any of those things. However, they do believe something bad is going to happen if they don't stack their money up right, correctly. And when you see this type of neatness and you're a parent, you may think, wow, my kid's fantastic. He or she puts away their socks neatly after they're washed. In fact, even they're not thrown in a drawer in a big hunk. No, each pair is put together. You find each sock and they put it together to make a pair. Wow, that's good. No, not necessarily. Because, practically speaking, it only takes a few seconds to put that pair of socks together the day you want to wear them. So if all your socks are in a drawer in a big bunch, It's only going to take a few seconds to put a pair together. And if you do it all in advance, and it only takes a few seconds for each pair, well, you didn't save any time. If altogether it was going to take you 45 seconds to pair your socks, well, it could be 45 seconds in one day, or it could be 45 seconds, 5 seconds at a time on the day you're going to wear the socks. So that didn't really save any time. It wasn't necessarily a good thing. But if the parent thinks, wow, my kid's really neat, because now, not only did they pair their socks, but they have all the colors separated. That's not a good sign. And not only do they have all the colors separated, they have the length of the sock separated. So they have the pink socks that are short. Right beside the short pink socks, they have the longer pink socks. And then they have the really long pink socks. This organization is not good. And really what we need here, we need the person with OCD to come back to reality, to recognize doing certain things is not of value. And the reality is that nothing bad's going to happen to them. There's no reason to do this. They need to recognize that. It needs to be challenged. You need to challenge them. Professional help might be necessary. With children, we concur here at Analytical Media that the parents can be very effective therapists because the parents control everything. They're like the prison guards, loving, but they control everything. They control how much money the children have. They control how much money the children are going to get. They control what the children can buy. They control what time the children go to bed. They control who the children are allowed to associate with, what they're allowed to do in life, everything. And as such, they are effective therapists if they know what they're doing. So certainly if you have a child being treated for OCD, the parents should be involved. There should be some family counseling going to maintain these things, to challenge things. Is there a good OCD? No. Can OCD that's untreated get better on its own? Highly unlikely. Can it get worse on its own? It probably will. And if we look a little bit more at obsessive thoughts, that obsessive thought can be something that happened, or this obsessive thought can be something that you don't know happened. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. I had a client that was successful in life, who was young, about 24, 25. He had been diagnosed with OCD from the time he was a child, though he was not treated for it. And it wasn't too bad. It did not stop him from going to school or playing sports, but it was there. And it was a series of rituals that he'd have to go through before he played a game, when he came home from school, where he put his books. He had that problem. Then he got married when he was maybe 22, 23. His wife had dated a guy that he knew, and she dated him years before they met. Her and her current husband even met. She didn't date the guy too long. I think the whole thing took about 6 months. The whole relationship lasted about 6 months. She was young, 15 or 16, and she had admitted to her husband that they had been sexually active, but not overly, but that sex had taken place a few times and then they broke up. She had nothing to do with him then the rest of her time in high school. And I think at the end of high school she met her current husband, or in that time frame. Now the husband was obsessed with what he didn't know about their sex. And by the time he'd come to see me, they had already spent many nights, 4, 5, 6 hours, talking about her relationship with this high school boyfriend. And he pushed and he pushed and he pushed. And he was upset. He justified it by saying that he thought he might be in danger with a HIV, I believe. It was HIV. He thought that he was in danger. And so he needed to know more and more and more and more and more. In reality, they just went over the same things, and he thought of new questions all the time. No police detective did a better grilling than he did of his wife. Obsessed with details. What clothing she was wearing. What type of bra did she have on? What color was the bra? What was the car they went out in? What did she tell her parents when she got home? It was very bad. I helped them through that, the both of them. And they got through that. Then they had a child later on. And he became obsessed with the child, who the child talked to at school, how the teachers were thinking of his child, on and on and on. The best time to have dealt with his OCD would have been in childhood. Are there medications that might help him? Well, there are medications, yes, that would change whether he cared about it. But he had been medicated when he was younger. By younger, I mean 18, 19, and he didn't like it one bit. And many people who are medicated do not like it. They don't like the way it makes them feel, or the numbness they feel with the medication they're on. This is not to say that medication cannot help or would not help. That's not to say it at all. But what it is to say is that some people do not like to be medicated. They really dislike the way it makes them feel, and they'd rather not be medicated. As I said, this client was a very nice guy, very nice person, successful in life, owned 2 or 3 businesses, just could not have been a nicer guy. And he was very well liked and much loved by his wife, by the way. Though his questioning of her past sexual experience almost ended their relationship. They would stay up. They would go to bed and he would say, "Hey, I just thought of one question. I just have one question to ask you." And they were in bed. And she would say, "Okay, And he would ask the question and she would give the answer, and he would ask another question based on her answer. They could be up half the night. Literally. So being obsessed is not just the thought of you washing your bloody hands in the sink, but it might be an obsession about something you don't know. And you're obsessed, you want to know. You want to know everything there was to know, everything that happened. And when she can't give you an answer, in this case, you are not accepting of that. You simply push harder. You ask it in a different way. It can be very destructive. This is analytical media. This is what we do. We look at things in depth, try to help you. We try to provide educational materials for your life so that you don't get the quick little trite things that fill channels on YouTube. You want to know about psychology, you want to know about how to be healthier mentally, how to be happier in life, you want to know how to lead a meaningful existence, subscribe to this channel. That's our goal. Literally, it's our goal. Recommend this channel to another person if you think it would help them. Subscribe if you want to be notified. Good Good luck, and I hope we will meet again.